Welcome back. If you're just joining us, you're watching the news at 10 on Channels Television. A reminder of our top stories. Troops of the Nigerian Army repel night attack on Gonori town in Yobe State as two female suicide bombers blow themselves up in separate attacks in Adamawa State. Governor Shettima allays fears of a report claiming Boko Haram is in control of some councils, says insurgents have lost foothold in the state. As the November deadline for anti-open grazing in Benue State approaches, Governor Ortom seeks the assistance of military over implementation of law. And thousands troop out in Barcelona to participate in Spain's unity rally, call for the jailing of sacked Catalan leader. For more on our top stories and others, please visit our websites channelstv.com and youtube.com/channelsweb. You can also watch us on the go on your mobile device. Log on to m.channelstv.com or download the Channels TV app for Android, iOS and Windows phones from their respective stores. Having the Channels TV and Channels 24 app will give you access to news and updates. You also have the Eyewitness feature with which you can share those news and updates. Just install the app, then tap and swipe to reveal the menu and follow the instructions. We have some of the pictures of you sent into our Eyewitness portal. Let's begin with this one. It's a video from Aja in Lagos State showing men. Our Eyewitness reporter says our staff of Eco Electricity Distribution Company removing cables, they say, were used for illegal connection by residents of an estate along Ado Road. According to our reporter, illegal connection should be discouraged as it is one of the ways of stealing from collective resources. From Maryland, still in Lagos, comes this next image showing hawkers transacting their businesses despite the indication prohibiting such practice. Our Eyewitness reporter asks for more enforcement. From Magboro in Ogun State comes this next picture showing a flooded road. According to our Eyewitness reporter, this is the state of the road whenever it rains. He blames this on the absence of drainage in the street. According to him, there is hardly any street with good drains in the whole community. He wants government to look into this to prevent a recurrence. Finally, is this image from Ayase Street in Makurdi, the Benue State capital, showing sagging electricity cables in contact with electric fence wire. Our Eyewitness report is calling the Jos Electricity Distribution Company to the danger of this. Thank you for sending in those pictures, and please keep them coming. As the military continues to clear the remnants of Boko Haram militants in the northeast, residents of some communities in Borno, Yobe, and northern Adamawa states have been celebrating the return of peace into their areas devastated by insurgency. At the event, which held in Baza, Adamawa State, the Catholic Bishop of Maiduguri Diocese, Bishop Oliver Dashi, said prayer is the only solution to the world's problems, especially terrorism, which he describes as influenced by evil.
The aged, young, women and children made a difficult climb up the mountain, which is more than 40 feet high, where a cross, said to be the biggest in West Africa, has been erected. The event signifies the restoration of normalcy in these communities affected by the activities of the Boko Haram sect. The Catholic Bishop of Maiduguri Diocese, Bishop Oliver Dashi, appeals to the federal government to do more to tackle the humanitarian crisis in the northeast.
I call on the federal government to come to the rescue of these our people. We know that we are aware that there is a committee that has been set to ensure some federal government's intervention in the northeastern part of the country, in other words, to come to the rescue of the victims of the insurgency.
It was also a day of reunion and thanksgiving to God for making the event possible despite the fear of insecurity.
In the past 2-3 years, you can't think of having this kind of gathering here because insecurity, fear of the unknown wouldn't allow you to come here.
Indigenous of Baza community see the event as hope rekindled.
At a point we saw ourselves as whole hope being lost. But with what is going on here today, with the crowd that are around, it's a hope rekindled. And we now see the light at the end of the tunnel so glaring.
Now is the time that we need a spiritual revival, especially in this part of the country, especially because of the activities of the Boko Haram. People want assurance and reassurance of the fact that God has not abandoned them, that God is still with them, that He is still there in order to guide them, in order to protect them. And despite the fact that Boko Haram came in, destroyed their farmland, destroyed their houses, and killed so many people, hope is not lost, that all is not over. God is still on their side, and God can still revive us and revive the city.
This site has now been renamed Jerusalem and is expected to serve as a pilgrimage site where prayers can be offered at any time.
Staying with security matters, the Benue State government has requested for military assistance in the face of alleged threats by a faction of Mieti Allah cattle herders. Governor Samuel Otom made the appeal to the Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Tukur Buratai, as the state prepares to begin the implementation of the anti-open grazing law on November 1st. The governor made the call during the burial of the former Army Chief, Lieutenant General Victor Malu, in Katsina Local Council.
For us in Benue State, we are under threat. But seeing the Chief of Army Staff here today, and the rest of you that are here, and very distinguished Nigerians, were encouraged. November 1st will be the beginning of a new era for Benue people. The Anti-Open Grazing Prohibition Law 2017, which was signed in May, will come to effect November 1st. And we have been under threat for no offense of us, for doing our legitimate duty as leaders, as people who believe in God and who believes in the rule of law and due process.
Meanwhile, the police in Cross River State and Imo States are warning perpetrators of various crimes to discontinue their activities. This comes as both police commands paraded suspects for various crimes, ranging from kidnapping to murder, saying they remain committed to the security of lives and property of residents.
The police in Cross River State say they are leaving no stone unturned to sustain an intelligence-driven anti-crime campaign across the state. The suspects here lined up, numbering over 70, are facing criminal charges including murder, armed robbery, attempted kidnapping, cult activities, and other charges. The Commissioner of Police says it is the command's determination to squarely surmount the daunting security challenges across the state, especially as the Yuletide season approaches.
I therefore want to use this medium to warn all criminals and their collaborators to stay clear of Cross River State Police Command, or Cross River State in general, as they too will not be spared. And the long arm of the law will soon catch up with whoever is involved in crime and criminality.
The youthful age bracket of these suspects is worrisome to residents. The youth are advised to shun crime.
Youths should really look inwards and stop going into crime, because it will not take them into doing anything better, rather than finding themselves at the police station or maybe finding themselves in the prison.
The Cross River Police Command also launched Bail is Free campaign to further enlighten the public on this development. The command says any police officer that demands payment for bail shall be reported immediately. Meanwhile, the Imo State Police Command have arrested an 18-year-old male suspect from Ohaje Gbema local government area for allegedly taking part in the murder of a 24-year-old commercial motorcycle operator. parading the suspect at a location in the forest where the body of the deceased was buried. The Imo State Police Command Public Relations Officer disclosed that the suspect is a member of a dreaded cult group.
Further interrogation, the suspect revealed and confessed to be a member of the 5-man gang that robbed and murdered the Stanley Olonwa Ihedike, who was earlier declared missing.
The command urges the general public to come forward with any relevant information that could help in fishing out the culprits.
Ahead of political activities in some states across the country, the National Orientation Agency is asking youths to embrace peace and shun all activities that could cause chaos. The Director General of the agency, Garba Abari, insists Nigeria's leaders must catch the young first, inculcating them the spirit of patriotism so that the country will not be overwhelmed with violence. He was speaking during different meetings with youths in Imo and Anambra states.
Nigeria is set to have a large youth force constituting its population. And judging by that indices, it will only make sense to keep a robust engagement with them, which perhaps explains the tour by the Director General of the National Orientation Agency of Nigeria, who is first in Imo State for a time out with various groups in that category. Over the next few weeks, elections and other political activity will start in earnest, and nothing can be more important than having peace above chaos, and that's where these folks come in.
The two leading political parties in the country are going to have two major events. In fact, for the APC, 3 major events. In all of this, the youth are in the frontier. They are the one that first and foremost, the most benign, the most basic of what they do. They are the ones that put the posters, but only under an atmosphere of peace.
So the campaign is brought to this hall, Professor Dora Akunyili Women Development Center, for another round of sensitization towards patriotism. The state's deputy governor couldn't agree any less as he lends his voice to the clarion call.
Most of you here who have BBC will go to your people to vote. Am I correct? It's your civic right, it's your civic duty to vote. That's the way you determine who will rule you, who will be your leader, who will be your governor.
Anambra has a leadership forum, a grassroots group in Nnewi, and they are quite heavy on good governance. This meeting is just apt for the burning issues on the plate.
You measure with the final outcomes. You could build all roads everywhere and the people are getting poorer. People are getting kidnapped every day. People cannot sleep in their homes. That's not the measure. Good governance is about the welfare of the average citizen. If he doesn't show up in his welfare, in his well-being, in his happiness, in his freedoms, and the size of his wallet, it means nothing to him.
Clearly, as this meeting rises, the first test of lessons learned will be the forthcoming elections in Anambra State, and hopefully the youth won't be on the wrong side of history.
When the News at 10 returns, farming communities in Oyo State call for government intervention to ease transport of their farm produce. Join us again.